Beach, please. No, really, beach, please. It's the Charcha-Cast. Hi, this is the Charcha-Cast. We're back. Special guest today is Malhar Kalambe from Beach Please. I said it in the intro, and you were probably thinking I was saying something not very kind, but in fact, we're talking about beach cleanups. And Malhar, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Very excited to talk to you. We were talking just before the show about optimism and cynicism. And to me, you give me reason for optimism and for reason to hope as well. Let's start though first by talking about what Beach Please is before I get accused of saying something I shouldn't be saying. So what is Beach Please?
So basically, Beach Please is a youth community based in Mumbai. We started back in September 2017 with Dadar beach cleanup, and gradually we realized that the waste coming to Dadar beach, Prabhadevi or Mahim was through the Meethi river. And that is when we thought of starting the Meethi river cleanup as well. So it's been 120 weeks now. We conduct weekly cleanup drives every Saturday and Sunday at Dadar beach and at Meethi river. So basically, Beach Please is a youth community by the youth and for the youth.
Okay, tell me about the name Beach Please. Where did that come from?
So when I started, I was 19. I wanted a name that could really resonate with the youth, that would make people curious about what the whole initiative is about. And that's the whole idea about Beach Please. So it's like we need to really focus on our beaches. We need to come down to a beach, have a good time, and also be responsible and clear the litter that has been on the beach.
Okay, so you've been doing this 130 weeks, you said, in a row.
120 weeks.
120 weeks, excuse me. But let's go back in time a little bit. You're 19, it's 2017. What sort of prompts you to take this on as a project?
So I've been born and brought up at a place called Dadar, which has a beach, and it was July 2017 when I'd been to Bali, Indonesia.
Okay.
And that was my first ever trip, abroad. So
for a vacation?
Yeah, like a vacation with my friends. And Bali has some beautiful beaches. We did some couple of activities there, like scuba diving and all those things. When I came back from Bali, it was the time of Ganeshotsav. And Mumbai is very popular for its Ganeshotsav.
Sure.
And one day I was just walking on the beach, and the street in which I saw the beach really made me think hard, that why is there a difference between the beaches abroad and beaches in Mumbai? Just a thought, that really struck me and made me think hard. I went back home. I was really very struck by the whole idea. I was having a conversation with my mother basically about the whole thing. And she said something that really motivated me, She was like, if you think the beach isn't clean, just stop complaining about it. Just stop cribbing about it. Just go and clean it.
Now, do you think she said that just to get you to stop talking, or do you think she was serious?
No, she really meant that.
Okay.
So she was like, if you think, just go and clean it. And I had this whole conception that, misconception rather, that if I clean the beach once, it's going to be clean forever. So I thought of doing a cleanup drive. I called up my school friends. I told them about the idea, and I just asked them to join me for a cleanup drive, because you need somebody along with you when you go for a cleanup drive. So 19 or 20 of my friends turned up. So basically my school first cleanup drive was a school reunion. We had a great time. So one basic rule about a cleanup drive is you only do a cleanup drive during low tides. Unfortunately, we did during a high tide. So we couldn't clean much of the garbage, but the whole experience was really satisfying and it made me really happy. I really loved doing that. So I asked them, that we need to come back again. We'll do it next weekend again. We came back the next Sunday. We were around 6 or 7 of us. And I realized that the beach was 4 kilometers long. And if we wanted to clean the entire beach, we needed more people.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought of getting in more people for the cleanup drive. We started approaching colleges, we started approaching schools. And the third cleanup drive, there were around 60 people that turned up. And that was really overwhelming for me, just one call, one suggestion, and then 60 people turning up. And that's how it's been going on now.
Now, but how do you move from, so you said you've been doing this 120 weeks, it's been more than 2 years. What sort of moves you into action though, right? Because I think a lot of people get stuck with, you're not the first person to come back from abroad and say, boy, those beaches were clean and this one isn't. I wish I could do something about it. But usually I wish I could do something about it turns into a Facebook picture with, this is so sad, and then everyone else comments, with an unhappy face emojis and stuff, and then everyone kind of moves on. So talk to me about moving from that piece to actually getting out there and organizing.
So frankly, honestly, I never planned on doing it for so long. It was just going to be a one-time thing. But that one-time thing changed me. That made me realize that this problem is far serious than what we can think about. A lot of people think that going to a beach and doing a cleanup is pretty easy, but it's really very tough. At times we find backpacks which are stuck in the ground. It takes us 30 minutes to take out a backpack. It is that tough. That really made me realize, that this needs more time, this needs more efforts from our end as well. And I've always believed that, it's always us, the citizens, who make it good or bad. A city is known by its citizens. You either make it good or you make it bad. And that's how it kept continuing. There have been challenges, I wouldn't deny that. But what really kept me going was my team, my friends. I think they have been a real support to me. They were the ones. There have been times when we thought of, stopping with the cleanup because you couldn't see any ground level action or ground level effects on the beach. Because one problem with the cleanups is you clean it today, tomorrow the high tide is going to get everything back to the beach. It doesn't stay clean forever. That was really demotivating at times. There have been times when the volunteers stopped coming. There were only 3 or 4 of us, going and doing beach cleanups. But I think that time my mother and my team were the really ones that really motivated me and said that we'll get through this.
I'm sure mom loves that shout out too. But this is something important you bring up, right? I mean, I think a lot of us, I'd love to go out for like a Saturday or 2 Saturdays and sort of do my part. But then it becomes kind of slacktivist, right? Because you go out and like you clean up and you have this good experience and you kind of, hey, I'm awesome environmental guy. But you're not really. So have you now sort of made this mental commitment that I'm going to do this sort of forever? I mean, what's next?
A lot of critics tell me that beach cleanups are not sustainable. You clean it today, it's going to be back the same again tomorrow. I believe that. Though we have started with the beach cleanups, the ultimate aim of beach please is to clean our oceans. There's a study which says that out of the total waste that gets into the ocean, 5% comes back to the beach, 1% floats on it, and the rest 94% goes to the ocean bed. Now we can imagine if this is the 5% which is coming back to the beach, what would be the 94% which is inside the ocean bed? So our ultimate aim is to clean our oceans, our ocean beds, because there's a lot of plastic waste and other waste, marine debris, which is still inside the ocean bed, which is harming the marine life. So we're looking for that.
And just to be clear, as I understand it, if you go to the beach and you see a bunch of plastic waste and other stuff, it's not people coming and dumping their household garbage onto the beach in the middle of the night, is it? Where is that waste coming from?
So when you specifically talk about Dadar, Prabhadevi and Mahim, the stretch which we are working on, the source of the garbage for this beaches is the Meethe River.
Okay.
95% of the waste coming to these beaches is through Meethe River. And Meethe River is very vital for Mumbai is because it's an 18-kilometer long river, one of the longest rivers in Mumbai. It originates at Vihar Lake and Powai Lake, and it meets the ocean at Mahim Creek. And there are a lot of industries on the river bank. So 70% of this river bank has settlements, including small-scale industries like recycling plants. There are oil industries, which dump their waste directly into the ocean. There's medical waste there. There are industrial effluents. All these things make it really difficult for us to really conduct the cleanup drives. It's not a regular cleanup. And I could really say that Meethe River is one of the worst locations that you could ever find in Mumbai to do a cleanup. It's as good as a landfills. There are heaps of waste there. And the problem is it's not only solid waste. How do you deal with the medical waste? How do you deal with the industrial effluents? If you look at the color of the water, it's black. We might clean the solid waste, but you need some strong action plan to clean the water.
So let's talk about this sort of people versus infrastructure and systems, right? Because like you said, you're sort of tilting against windmills. If you can go out and clean the beach every day, and this is taking nothing away from your work, but there's still going to be more stuff on the beach the next time you come. How have you approached the idea of talking to people who are actually putting this waste into the water?
I believe beach cleanups, segregating our waste and recycling our waste, all these things should go parallel, So we've been trying to sensitize the people staying around the Meethe River so that they start segregating their waste, they start recycling their waste. But it's a hill.
What does that mean? That we're socializing or sensitizing? Like, what does that look like? Because I hear this from people. We're socializing the community. We're sensitizing the community. What does that conversation look like? Like, you walk into that village and there's, I don't know, whatever, medical waste something, and you say, "Hi, I'm Malhar. Could you please stop throwing your syringes into the river?" I mean, what does that look like?
So, see, the thing is, if you go to a community and tell them start segregating your waste, start recycling your waste, nobody's going to listen to you. For that, you need to first do something on yourself. Now, we've been working on the Meethe River for the last 1 year. That's when the community staying there has started trusting us. They know that we are here, we're doing something for them. And the people staying in these communities are below poverty line. So for them, a survival is something which is very difficult. So environment comes at the end of the priority list. So to make them understand, to make them realize that it's not only creating waste, it's also affecting their health. It's also somewhere affecting in the living standards that they're living, all these things. It becomes difficult. Also, I'm 22. So you can imagine a 22-year-old boy coming and telling you that,
Yeah.
You need to start segregating your waste. Why would you listen to him, That becomes a challenge for us because we're the youngest one in Mumbai doing this. So at times the age is a advantage for us, but at times it becomes really very difficult for us to get things done from people.
So when you're talking to these communities, do you avoid the old people and focus on the youth, or like how do you approach this topic from that standpoint?
We usually focus on the youth because they can really connect to what I am saying, being in the same age group. That really helps us, And we ask them to go and talk to the parents. That really helps, and I've seen that, So that has been a major focus, sensitizing the youth, sensitizing the kids, because I think they are the real change makers. We are the generation that can really make a difference, and I think we should be stepping up.
So do you think people just don't care? I mean, you sort of alluded to this earlier, talking about, it's low on the priority list, but I think there's also a perception that people just don't care and will throw stuff out and it's someone else's problem. What percentage in your view is just sort of lack of caring versus something else?
I've got a mixed reaction from people. There is a section of the society which think that this is not their responsibility. We are paying taxes.
Yeah, but why? Why isn't it their responsibility?
Yeah, it's because they think that we are paying taxes. The municipal corporation needs to do this. It's their responsibility. And there is a section which wants to do something, which I have seen through my experience, but they don't know how do you take it forward. For example, a lot of people want to go to the beach clubs and do it. But going alone and doing it, sometimes it's awkward for them. So we are providing a platform for them. So there are 100, 150 people doing with you beach cleanups. It's really motivating for you. So it's like more like a family. It's more like a community. We come together. We are just not doing cleanups. We're giving them a platform. We are asking them to take individual efforts, start segregating your waste. We want people to replicate this idea.
So in a way, the beach cleanup piece itself is we want to bring people out and participate, but hopefully that in and of itself will inspire you to go home and segregate your waste or do these other things. So it's not necessarily just the beach cleanup itself that you're trying to get people to do. Is that fair?
It's more like we are encouraging people to do something for the society or for the country for that matter. A lot of people talk about plastic pollution and the marine litter and everything, but I think unless you don't go to a beach and take out the plastic yourself, you don't understand how intense and difficult the problem is. So that is more like cleanup along with awareness. That's a practical experience that really helps you,
Yeah, but what do you say to people who blame the government for not cleaning up the beach, or there's not an adequate sewer system, or whatever? What's your response to that?
When you specifically talk about Mumbai, there's a population of around 2 crores in Mumbai. And there are tentatively around 15 to 20 lakh BMC employees, which is the municipal corporation in Mumbai, taking care of the city. You do the maths, it's inadequate. We need more people participating with the government. We live in a democracy, India being the largest democracy. Now, what does a democracy mean? It means participation with the government. We need to participate. Now, we live in a city like Mumbai, we often find potholes on the roads. What do? We just complain about it, crib about it, and just walk away. How often do we call up the municipal corporation and tell them that I've spotted a pothole, do please fix it? We don't do that. So if one person does it, they won't. Maybe 10 people, they won't. But if 1,000 people, 2,000 people do it, they have to do it. That is the power of the citizens and democracy, Indian constitution gives us certain rights. We often talk about our rights, the right to clean environment, but we often forget about the duties it comes with. The duty to clean the environment, the duty to take care of our city. We don't do that.
I like this a lot, the idea of, with certain rights come certain responsibilities. It's a little, is it Star Wars with great powers come great responsibilities? Or maybe that's X-Men.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, thank you, Priyanka. Spider-Man with great powers come great responsibilities. And Beach Please, Malhar's organization, is doing something about it. So I'll get away from the government piece a little bit, but if you were king for a day, like what changes would you make to try to improve the environmental situation?
I think there should be more awareness drives from, we need to sensitize people, make them aware about what the situations are. Running a few campaigns or ads, it's not going to really work. We need to have a personal touch with the people, with the citizens, make them really understand One problem is, we talk about plastic pollution. We banned single-use plastic, but we don't have an alternative for it. We need to come up with alternatives. That's something, because I can think about the environment because I'm from a humble background. But people who are from economically poor background, thinking about the environment is not really a priority. So we also have to think from their perspective. We need to make alternatives available for them as well, because it's more about convenient. We're moving towards a lifestyle which is more convenient for us, like using a single-use plastic bag or using a straw. Now, at most of the time, we don't require a straw, but we still use it because it's more convenient.
You talked about you would want to do more awareness raising, and this is a big bone of contention for me personally, because I have a lot of trouble with the term awareness raising. But I like sort of how you described it, and maybe we can talk about it a little bit more. Awareness raising is not putting out an advertisement that says, the beach is clean, come clean it up. Hey, we've raised awareness, problem solved, right? It's about going out in the community. So talk more about that.
Now, we follow a procedure when we talk about awareness campaigns. Now, we have associated with a couple of schools and colleges. The first step is we go to the schools, we have a workshop with them, seminars with them, we show them some videos, pictures about how intense the problem is and what could be done. The next step is we get them to the beach. We make them clean the beach, so now they understand how serious the problem is. It's just not a theoretical thing, but a practical thing. The third step is after the cleanup, we do a Q&A session with them. How can you improve the situation? What could be done? And at times, kids are so smart, these days. I can recollect an instance when there was a third grade kid who came up with the thing that, why can't we take the waste and put it on the moon? And I had no answer to this, So I think we need to make them aware about the problems. I think they are really smart. I think they can have better solutions than what we can come up with. You give them an opportunity, you give them a platform, they'll excel, I guess.
What's the most common question you get from kids when you're doing these Q&A sessions?
Why does the plastic land here? And if you know the plastic is harmful, why do we use it? And if kids are so smart to think about why aren't we? And these are the same kids which go back home and tell their parents not to use single-use plastic.
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
Huh. Okay. So you talked earlier about friends and stuff keeping you motivated, but what else keeps you going from week to week? Because I listened to you talk. You're a full-time student. You're studying law. I'm sure your parents are proud. You've been doing this Beach Please initiative for 120 weeks now. You're sensitizing communities, you're going to schools, you're doing you kind of have a couple of different hats you're wearing. What gets you up in the morning? What makes you get out of bed and put your socks on?
For me, personally, it's a journey, personal journey for me, I like going to the beach, I like cleaning it up. I love the beach cleanups. That's something what really motivates me. So tomorrow, even if you don't find any volunteers at the beach, you'll find me every weekend doing the cleanup. So that's something that has been motivating for me, and I think I am making an impact in the society. It might not be something which is very, impact driven. It might be just 0.0001%, but I think I am making a difference. It might be a small baby step, but I think that is something keeps me motivating, that in a world where there are so many problems, you making a single step, individual efforts make a difference, And something that really motivates me is the one idea, cleaning the beach. There's so many people supporting it, so many people believing you. I think in the last 120 weeks, there have been more than 40,000 citizens participating.
Wow.
So many people believing your ideas, so many people thinking that what you're doing is going to make a difference. It's really overwhelming for me.
Wow, that's a very lovely story. And I just think back to, again, you're going to the beach every week. You're in school full time. Do you have time for personal life outside of that? I mean, are you hanging out with friends outside of all these responsibilities and stuff and meeting girls and that kind of thing? Or is this like you're like a monk and this is your full-time gig?
Honestly, it's been very difficult for me lately to balance out between my personal life and my beach place work. But I think when you love doing something, you keep doing it no matter what. And when you talk about parties, my team is a party freak. I'll tell you an instance. We'll go out clubbing Saturday nights, Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, you'll see us at the cleanups.
Huh.
That's what we do, and we have mastered that. So
okay.
We'll go directly for the cleanups after partying, we'll clean the beach, we'll go home, back. This is something I think people should learn. It's not necessary that if you're doing something into a social initiative, you need to be 100% towards it. You need to strike a balance between them. You can have a personal life and a social life as well.
Yeah, well, that's a good point too, right? Because you think about it's almost like a martyrdom syndrome where I'm going to sacrifice everything to be the beach guy or whatever. And it doesn't have to look like that, right?
Absolutely.
It can be part of a healthy, balanced lifestyle. So if someone's interested, right, if I come out once, is that success for you? Is that the person who comes out one time, what does that person represent to you?
Whether you come once or whether you come 10 times, I want you all to come and join the cleanups at least once. That will make you realize why is it required, So next time when you go back, you see somebody using a single-use plastic, you might think 10 times before doing that. That is something is required. And when you talk about volunteers coming for the cleanup drives, there's a ratio of 30% of volunteers come back for the cleanup drive, retaining percentage, which is difficult. So at times it becomes really difficult for us to get in volunteers when you conduct 8 to 10 cleanup drives every month. Retaining volunteers every week is a task for us, and we've been trying to look for different means to get in more volunteers. So whether a volunteer comes once or 10 times, it's a victory for us.
What do you think, though, and we are as guilty of this as anybody, but we'll find something like a beach cleanup and we'll get our consulate community together and we'll go down for a day and take a bunch of pictures and we'll have a group photo together and we'll feel really good about ourselves, and then we move on, right, with our lives. Does that sort of thing, does that annoy you, or do you look, that's people we might have reached, so it's all good? What's your feeling on that? Because I feel we're doing it.
Coming for a cleanup site, taking pictures and putting on social media is necessary. Because you might put a picture on the social media, there are 10,000 people that might be seeing it. That might inspire somebody. But we don't need to be stop there. There needs to be an action. We need to change our behaviors. We need to change our consumption pattern. We need to move towards a life which is more sustainable. We need to stop using single-use plastic. If that makes a difference, then even if you come once for the cleanup drive, we have done what you wanted to.
So what's the future hold for you then? I mean, you're studying law. Obviously, not obviously, it sounds to me like you want to move towards the root of the problem versus the sort of symptom. What do the next 5 years look like for you?
We're trying to go pan-India. We're trying to expand to different cities of Mumbai, different cities of the country, replicate the same ideas at different locations. That's what we're looking for. Along with that, we want the more youth. India is a young country. We've got so many young people in our country, but not all of people are doing something for it. We want the young people to come out of their houses and do something for the society. Not be it for the environment, but something. Everybody has a different likes and dislikes. Some people might be inclined towards environment. Some people might be inclined towards, working for some underprivileged kids. That's fine. That's their choice. But I think I want everybody to do something for the society. I think when you talk about beach cleanups, it's just 2 hours every week. I think 2 hours every week, you can at least remove that for your environment and for the country. That's the least that we expect from you.
So everyone has a civic responsibility.
Absolutely.
But how do you inspire your peers, your other people, to take that message to heart and do something? I mean, is it just through your actions, or what do you think?
I think actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
What you do really inspires others rather than what you speak. Like I said, a lot of people talk about plastic pollution, but what are they actually doing towards it? Are they really working on the source of the problem? Are they really working on the ground level? Because that is what is actually difficult. Going to the beach in the hot sun, getting it done, doing the cleanups is what is difficult. And when you talk about inspiring, I think my team is really what is inspiring me and not me inspiring them. There are people that travel around 14-15 kilometers every week to come for the cleanup drives. I just have to travel a kilometer or 2. That is motivating for me. That I might be the face of the entire beach cleanup movement. There's a whole lot of people working for this movement, behind the cameras, without any recognition, working hard for the cause. That is inspiring. Speaking
of recognition, you won an award from the UN. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so last year in December 2018, I got this award called WE Awards from the United Nations India. It was in association with the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India. Being honest, that was the first award I ever received in my life.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah, so being it from the UN, that was really something that I never expected. And I just loved it, something that was motivating, not just for me, but for the entire team,
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, again, what would you say to someone watching right now who's sort of on the fence about, I want to do something for the environment, but I don't want to make a huge commitment and all that sort of thing? What do you say to someone?
I think individual efforts do count, whether you do it for 2 hours or 20 hours. 2 hours do count, 20 hours also count. So I think we should get out of these barriers, do something. It might be anything. If you think the city has less trees, just go and plant a few. If you think the beach isn't clean, just go and do it. It's that simple. Don't think about anything. If you feel something for a cause or for something, just do it. That's it.
So there's always a reason not to do something. But in this case, the first step is to actually take a step.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Malhar, how can people participate with Beach Please? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
So we are present on all social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. The handle is Beach Please India. You can message us there. You can even Google about us. You'll all find the contact details there. Yeah.
So it's Beach Please, B-E-A-C-H,
Yeah.
Please India.
Please India, yeah.
Get that one right, please. All right, cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to say that you didn't get a chance to bring up during our conversation today?
I think a handful of people cannot change the scenario. We need more people coming out and doing something for the environment and the nation. We need to wake up and fall in love with this planet. We need to really wake up from our beds. That's something we need to do right now. That is the need of the hour. You talk about plastic pollution, you talk about marine litter. Every second country in the world is facing it. And it's going to get worse with time. Climate change, it's real. We need really to work towards the environment. And if we don't do that, we're really investing money to go to Mars. We're really investing money to find water on Mars. But what if we don't have a life? What if the world ends in 2030? What if the world ends in 2050? All this is just waste of time. So the priority should be environment. We need to really invest money into renewable energies, sustainable lifestyle, and that's something can really help us.
I like this: wake up and fall in love with the earth. Why don't we leave it there? Malhar Kalambe from Beach Please, very inspirational conversation. You can find out more on all their social media platforms. And one time, first step is to take a step. So come on out, help clean up the beach, and you never know where that'll go. This has been the Charcha-Cast. My name is Nick. We'll see you next time.